So, into third week. Basically, I thought I'd talk to you this week about homesickness because this week I've finally moved apartment and basically things just feel like they've fallen into place. I thought I was feeling a little bit low, but it would pick up. But no, it turns out what the moving apartment was what I needed for things to just kind of come together. And I'm feeling so much more at home now. I feel safer, and I just feel a lot more hopeful about this year now. Basically, like I thought it would gradually get better, but instead it's a lot more, it's just clear, it's sliding into place, it's all good now. So basically I thought I'd talk to you about the importance of accommodation. Number one, the importance of accommodation. I cannot emphasise how good it is to have accommodation set up before you go. The university will tell you, make sure you just get it when you get there. But this works for travelling, but it does not work for when you're coming abroad and you're moving abroad, because you will be shattered after the plane journeys. And you want to have something where somewhere that you can go and you can just settle and you can just, that's that. So, although the university will say, oh, go out 3 weeks before because you'll be able to get accommodation and things like that. Personally, I think the fact that I already had accommodation lined up, however dreadful it was to begin with, is actually a better thing, because at least I had somewhere to go and I knew I was staying there and I didn't have, that was one less thing off my mind. The fact that I then got a new apartment just made things better for me. So make sure you check out that, like make sure you do have somewhere fixed to go, even if you end up changing your mind just before. Trust me, it will make you feel so much more at home after a couple of days, having somewhere fixed to go. Number two is make sure you bring something from home. I was a bit silly and I will probably be alright, thank myself for this in the long run, but in these first couple of weeks I think it's very important to have something from home, like in your room. I actually have my calendar from home. And luckily I did bring that because it reminds me of home. It's Simon's cat. It's just a family joke and it reminds me of home. It's just enough to have up on my wall, and it kind of kept me sane knowing that I had that up there, and it was just a little bit of a nice reminder of home. But if you've got anything like, say, a like bed, like blanket that you use, or I don't know, some photos. I should have brought my photos with me. I thought I wouldn't because I didn't want to miss home, but then I realised having them would have just made it a little bit more comforting. But never mind, I like my room and I'm fine now. Just for these first 2 weeks, they're a little bit dodgy, so that's my advice to you. The third thing, I'm quite fortunate to live with other students who are in my same position. I'm living with a Brazilian, Colombian and US student. All girls, and it's quite good because apart from the fact we're all girls, we're all in the same situation, more or less, apart from the Brazilian girl, in that we have all moved from different countries. We're here to study or we're here to work, and we're more or less the same age as well, so we all know what each other's going through. We've got each other's backs. Although people will say to you, go out and meet Brazilians and just completely integrate with the Brazilians, like, it is good to have some people who are in the same boat as you, because then you don't feel so out of your depth. Especially in these first 3 weeks, it's been amazing. It's been so nice having people who know what I'm going through, so you can kind of relate with each other. I would say that you, no matter how strong you think you are, homesickness will get to you. I thought I wouldn't be affected at all. I've lived abroad. I don't go home for more than 2 weeks at a time. I don't talk to my family that much either. I think everyone gets affected by it. You won't be immune from the homesickness stage. And it's also good to live with someone who speaks English as well. Yes, you might think, oh, I'm here to learn Portuguese, or whatever. I'm here to, I've got Skype, I've got FaceTime, I've got Facebook, I've got all this. Seriously, if you've got an English speaker who is your age, it does help, because we went to the Policia together and we figured that all out together. So it was good because you felt like someone was in the same boat as you. You kind of lean on each other a bit. So yeah, that was really useful to have as well. I would also say that having been here for 3 weeks though, even though I found accommodation beforehand, was actually really useful, because although it felt like the worst thing in the world and like it was never going to end in the first couple of days, we went to orientation on Friday and it was like a walk in the park. We'd had enough Portuguese practice that we could basically understand everything. And we didn't need them to speak slowly, we didn't need them to speak English. and we felt so relaxed. We were sat there, me and Susanna, just looking at each other like, this is cool, okay, we're excited, this is cool. Just because we'd been here for 3 weeks and we knew our way around the university. We'd been to a street party just outside that, in that orientation building, and we've been to the Congresso as well, which I will do a video on in a bit. Yeah, so I would say, although you might think, oh, I'll get accommodation sorted before I come, I think that you should still make the effort to come out at least 2 weeks beforehand. People were getting there the week before, and I was thinking, no, being me, I wanted to see stuff before uni started. I wanted to have a kind of ground, like bearings on where I was. So it was very useful to be here 3 weeks, because then I got the panic stage over, I got the exploring stage out, kind of, not out the way, but I got some exploring done. And then the 3rd week, we just kind of went with it. We partied, and yeah, we met some people and just had a good time. And then we're just all ready to go to uni now. Yeah, it's a nice little transition stage, like feeling chilled and just sort of like, yeah, I can do this. I mean, there were people arriving on the day of orientation, and I was just thinking, that's insane. Like, you've got to deal with jet lag, you've got to deal with being in a new surrounding. There's one kid who actually moved in downstairs into my old room. He arrived on Friday. And I'm just thinking, you just think, he is in a new country. Yes, he's Portuguese, but he hasn't been away from home ever. Like, yeah, this is the first time he's actually moved out the house, and I think he's going to have a crash at some point while having to do his lectures and while having to do his work. So I think personally, I think 3 weeks is enough for you to get settled in. Accommodation or no accommodation, like, it's a good transition stage. I would actually recommend it. I feel so much more, I feel confident with my Portuguese already, even though I don't really speak it that well. And yeah, it gives you time to adjust properly. One of the things I would recommend to anyone going on their year abroad is stubbornly speak the native language. They will try and speak English to you. Like, I'll explain the Congresso video in a minute. But no, you must stubbornly stick to Portuguese. If you really want to, if they keep speaking English to you, then walk away. Say thank you and walk away. So my advice to you basically is, make sure you've got somewhere that you feel comfortable and you feel safe in. Don't go, okay, if the first thing works for you, then brilliant. But if after a week you're still feeling unsafe, or just feel like it's a bit dodgy, like, then move. You've got 2 more weeks to sort accommodation out. You can do it, it's fine. But do give it a week before you give up, unless of course something drastic happens, like the ceiling falls in, or you get like robbed in your own bed, which hasn't happened. But yeah, make sure you live in a homely home, because you're going to be here for the rest of the year. You've got to feel safe, and you've got to feel like you want to be here, because that's another thing. Because of the accommodation, I was very much considering not coming back for next year. So yeah, and we've got to do 9 months minimum. I would also recommend 3 weeks prior to uni, because you're going to need to do so much. You need to go to the policia, you need to set up a phone account, and it's not just as simple as buying a SIM account and that's yours. You have to go buy the SIM, and then you have to go activate it. So that's another thing. If you want a contract, you've got to set up a bank account, and if you have a bank account, you've got to register your visa, and you've got to ask for a Sintre or Sincre, I think it is, and that takes 3 days to get. So again, that's more time again. And if you're paying your rent from by debit, then you've got to have a bank account again. And to have a bank account, you need to go that from the police. So you can't get it done in a week. You need to be in your host country at least 2 weeks before. This is anywhere, because there is a lot to think about in the first couple of weeks. And if you want to get exploring done and go see places, then surely you want to take your time. You don't want to be rushing and thinking, oh, I haven't seen much of it because I had so much work to do and I had so many things to do before I started and blah blah blah. Yeah. Daniel will say it exactly like that as well. So that's my advice. That's another piece of wisdom to impart to you. So this week I won't have highlights because I didn't feel like we did anything groundbreaking. There will be videos of the Congresso, which you'll find in the other video. Yeah, and if you've got any questions, then please leave comments or Facebook me